Hello and welcome to Community Spotlight. I'm one of your hosts, Diane McCarthy, and with me is Lauren Doukas, who is a candidate for school board. Hello, Lauren. Welcome.
Hello, Diane. Thank you for having me tonight.
Thanks so much for being here. So why don't we go ahead and start off? Just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, me and my family moved here right at the beginning of the pandemic in 2020, but Goffstown had been the plan for many years. This town had come onto our radar 5 years previous, really due to some of the facilities like the Y Center, the Allard Center. My children have attended programs there for years. And the more just driving through town, seeing signs for things like the Pumpkin Regatta, driving through the downtown, it really just looked like a wonderful place to live. So we were living in Manchester. I've born and raised in New Hampshire, Londonderry and Manchester mostly. And I really enjoyed Londonderry for the small town feel, and just coming to Goffstown felt like home. It looked like a great place to live, and it also looked like it had a great opportunity for growth and really where I wanted to spend the rest of our lives here.
Fantastic. Well, we're glad to have you here.
Oh, thank you.
Yes. So why are you running for school board?
It's always a fun question to answer. Really, the short answer is because I care and I'm knowledgeable and I work hard. I have always supported our schools. I have 4 children between the ages of 13 and 7, and since they entered preschool, I've always been an involved community member. I would always volunteer, I would chaperone, I would bring lunches for teachers, I bring supplies. I've always held educators in the highest regard. And when we moved to Goffstown, one of the first things I did was I wanted to run for office. So I really believe that civic service is a responsibility. Those of us who can serve and are privileged to do it should serve. I wanted to really help contribute to the community that I felt so strongly that I wanted to move to. I was very sagely advised to run for budget committee at that time, and I think that was wonderful advice. I'm very grateful that I was elected to that position because it really gives you a wonderful overview of the entire town and the school. But even though I was fully dedicated budget committee member, anytime anything with the schools came up, I was extra interested. I really feel like I understand school governance. I really, anytime there was an opportunity to be a representative on a school board subcommittee, I served on the school facilities planning committee. I served as a parent representative on the Mountain View principal search committee. I just really, that's where my passion lies. And I would like to continue using my experience to help beyond the budget committee's purview and to really get to school board governance.
Fantastic. It's a lot of hard work. So having that passion and that interest in the work, it makes all the difference. Definitely. So what sort of experience do you bring would you bring to your role on the school board?
Well, aside from serving a 3-year term on the budget committee, to have a general idea of, working within a committee, we are, it's a collective group. I did serve as a school board member for a private preschool in Londonderry for about 6 years. I was chair for 4 of those. As I said, that I did serve on the subcommittee for school facilities planning. I actually presented to the school board the findings of that committee, or co-presented. I am a current paraprofessional in a Manchester charter school where I support students of all sorts of needs as dictated by their IEPs. I also train all of the paraprofessionals in the building, as well as I'm a substitute teacher, and I filled in for everything from front-end administration to a lead teacher to a music teacher, and just this week I've been substituting for kindergarten, which is I love kindergarten age, but I'm very tired.
They're so cute, though.
Oh,
yeah.
I love the projects.
But exhausting.
And I also have the unique perspective of not only do I have 4 children, as I said, I have 2 children in Goffstown public schools. The public schools are one of the main things that attracted us when we started looking into the town was, how's the school system? And the feedback at that point was, it's excellent. So it's definitely a place that we wanted to get our children into, but I do still have 2 children in a charter school in Manchester. So I do have an understanding of how a small, well-regulated charter system can actually work very well in harmony with a well-funded, supported public school system. And I know there's been a lot of talk over the last few years of family choice and different educational environments for folks, and that's a very important conversation. I really do understand both sides of that, and I do firmly believe that they don't need to work in opposition. It is not an us versus them situation, but a us situation of this is all public school, and there are some educational opportunities for other types of learners. So I feel that that's a unique experience point that I would bring to the board as well.
Great. So you mentioned your service on the budget committee. How do you think that has prepared you for serving on the school board?
First, we really do function as a collective board. Board members are very important. I think it's very important to have a lot of different representation on board, so you really can come at problems and budgets and policy things from different perspectives and ask, so you kind of ask all the questions, really make sure you're covering every vantage point. So I recognize that I am one member, but I am a part of a team. I do understand that how we run our meetings is very important. I am a huge proponent of policy, procedure, and mutual respect and collaboration. Because we're not always going to agree, and the budget committee certainly doesn't always agree. But it's very important to have those conversations respectfully. I think I've gained a lot of experience working with folks where I don't always agree with their votes, but we vote, and that's how the decision is made. I really appreciate seeing the collaboration between the town and school, and I have a really strong appreciation for that. As a budget committee member, I've attended trainings for the New Hampshire Municipal Association, which goes through, brings in town department heads and committees and boards from all over the state to learn about different policies and how you craft a budget and different legislation that's come up. And something that was always interesting to me at those meetings was sometimes the schools and the town side in other towns were not working harmoniously. And in Goffstown, they really do. So that, seeing that on the budget committee, that DPW helps out the schools, Parks and Rec works collaboratively with the schools, and really seeing the cost savings, seeing how it really engenders a great community spirit. That's something that I really appreciate is rather unique, and that I would love to be able to continue moving forward in that spirit.
Fantastic. So what do you see as one of the biggest challenges facing the Goffstown School District now?
I mean, serving on that facilities planning committee, I really think it's growth. I know it's been talked about for more years than I've been a resident, but we're just out of space. And I know there's no easy answers in there. There were 3 main recommendations that our subcommittee made to the board, which was moving certain parts of your curriculum or programming to another location, cutting programming, or building a school. And there's very complex factors in all of those, but I believe growth affects everything downstream. If we don't grow to meet our current needs, it's going to affect teacher retention as they're working in confined spaces. It's going to affect learning loss. It's going to affect the quality of our education. So really, if we don't get ahead of this and start having more of a long-term plan, I know that our education is really going to suffer for all of our students, and it's going to be very hard to catch that once we're in the depths of the consequences of not thinking ahead.
Yeah. Thank you. So there's been a lot of discussion nationally and in our state about divisive topics like parental rights, book bans, etc. What do you see as the school board's role in mediating those conversations as they arise in our district?
I mean, it's the school board's role is critical. They need to lead by example and follow their mission and guiding principles, which do speak very directly to having safe schools that respect and encourage an open exchange of different beliefs and opinions. And if that is the policy and principle that we'd like our communities to follow, then we should be leading in that. I think most of our disagreements come from misunderstanding. I think the school board can really help to diffuse a lot of this contentious spirit by setting very clear and concise policies that really address a lot of parent concerns and student safety issues. Because a safe student is available for learning. A student who does not feel safe and cared for and supported in their environment will not learn, and we are not doing our job as acting as protective barriers for students or as educating them to be lifelong learners if they don't feel safe in their school. So I really think that school boards need to have direct conversations, try to break down those barriers where sometimes we all get caught up in sort of buzzwords and go, well, what's really happening in our schools and what's really your concern? And also making sure that proper procedure is followed. If there is a concern, if a parent or family feels that things are being taught or that they don't understand, really to reach out to their administrators, to their educators first, and to really get the answers that they're looking for, because I can almost guarantee that every administrator and educator would be happy to have those conversations, because education is a collaboration. Mm-hmm. And then the board needs to support our teachers with their more forward-thinking policies, so everyone's on the same page.
Excellent, thank you. So the school board, as you know, largely operates with subcommittees. What subcommittee, if you were elected, would you like to be on, and why?
I think I would be most interested in policy review, because going through some of our policies, and there's many of them, so I would not expect the school board to be able to address even half of them in a given year. But there are certain ones that I think need updating that would directly address some of the things that we were talking about, like library policy and media selection, and things like student safety haven't really been updated since 2000. So I think we can do a little better in some of those policies that are really affecting our students more than they were 20 years ago, like with social emotional learning and other things that could be considered controversial, because there's also a lot of state laws that I think our administrators and educators do a great job following, but we need to bring policy up to date. But really, I'm a team player, and I do recognize that the school board is a whole different ballgame than budget committee, and I'm willing to learn, and really, I go where the need is. And I think a lot of the school board members do great service, so I'm happy to fill in on what committee is needed.
Great. So why should voters choose you for school board?
Kind of that same answer. I work hard, and I do the work together. I think if anyone's had the pleasure of watching any of the budget committee meetings or public hearings or deliberative sessions, I think one can say that I ask direct questions, and I work respectfully, and I ask that we all follow the proper procedure, because that's really how we have civil discourse when we don't agree. I think I have some unique vantage points of not only being a parent, having children in our public schools, having children in an alternative education placement, being an educator, having a deep understanding of special education, because that is a very complex situation that affects so many of our unique families in town. Having the experience of being a fiscal steward in the town and the school budgets, I think I bring a lot of different points of view to the board. And I think that representation could be very valuable and could really help me understand where lots of different folks are coming from.
Sure. So what else would you like the community to know?
Well, a little story I do like to tell is I stayed at home by choice for 13 years to raise my kids for my having a baby every other year. And I only re-entered the workforce in 2021 to help get kids back into classrooms because remote learning for everyone was very complex. And I called our school and said, what do you need? How can I help? And that first year, all I did was I watched all the educators' own children so they could return to work and teach kids in their small cohorts. And I've returned to work every year because I find the work immensely validating and rewarding and worthwhile. And I've filled different roles every year because I really do truly show up and say, where can I help? And that's the kind of spirit that I like to bring to my town and that I hope to bring to our school board as well.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for being here with me.
Thank you.
I wish you all the best on your candidacy. If anybody would like more information about you, they can find you on Facebook, right? You have a candidates page on social?
I do. It's Lauren Doukas for School Board on Facebook. There is also like a direct website printed on there where I have a lot of policy points and really also over the years as being a budget committee member, I've really tried to be as accessible to the public. So I'm happy to answer questions, and if anyone can reach out, I'd love to hear from them.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
And for those of you who are joining us from home, thank you for being with us. That does it for this edition of Community Spotlight. We look forward to seeing you next time. Thank you.